All right. This is going to cover the material that is on my Algebra 2 students' next assignment, and that is identifying exponentials from a table or creating an exponential function from a table, deciding if the table represents an exponential. So I have three tables here with inputs, outputs, and they represent three different types of common equations that are used in algebra in high school. So how you break down a table is you look at the outputs. First, you have to make sure, are the inputs all going the same? So going by one, going by one, going by one, going by one. So these are all going by ones. All right, so that works. That's good, going by one, going by one. It wouldn't matter if they're going by twos, or threes or fours, but you want to make sure that they're all going the same. Just makes it more simple if they are. All right, so they're all going by ones. Obviously, I made that on purpose for this demonstration. So next thing you check, okay, this one, I need to find out, is it exponential? Is it not exponential? So what is the change there? So the change there is I added 2. The change there is I added 2. Added 2. Added 2. Addition and subtraction are linear. When it happens, when you keep adding the same thing or taking away the same thing, right? It's those steps in, okay, if I'm going to go over 1 and add 2. I'm going to go over 1 and add 2. Over 1, add 2. That is linear. All right, so this one would be linear. Not exponential, that is linear. That's y equals mx plus b. All right, this one, that's minus 3, minus 1, plus 1, plus 3. Hopefully a lot of people, instead of doing this virtually, just see like, okay, that's squared, that's squared, that's squared, that's squared, that's squared. So this is a quadratic, but if you did learn the table way, you have to do 2 of these instead of 1, because what you actually see is, let me grab a different color. Erase, where's my, there it is. All right. Erase this for now. Is a quadratic has this second row where it's adding the same amount, or yeah, it should be adding the same amount, or taking away the same amount if it's flipped upside down, I think, I don't remember. But the easiest way to tell a quadratic is this right here is like, okay, negative 2 squared is 4. And also when you see what I taught my students is this vertex where it's reflected across. So that's another key way to see, okay, that's a parabola. That's been, or maybe an absolute value, but it's definitely not exponential, because exponentials don't reflect on themselves, right? An exponential, so here would be a parabola where, you can flop it on itself if I drew it correctly, but an exponential, you can't flop it onto itself. Can't do that. So if you see a vertex in your table, not exponential. And this one would be quadratic. All right. Now I'm assuming all you guys are like, oh, you finally got the exponential one. So why is this the exponential one? It's exponential because it's multiplying by the same number over and over again. I know in my other videos I talked about how linear was addition or subtraction, and exponential is multiplication. All right, you're either multiplying by a number greater than 1, and it's getting bigger, or you're multiplying by a number in between 0 and 1, so 1/4, 1/2, 0.567, whatever, 0.999, doesn't matter. But it's multiplication, and you're multiplying by the same number over and over and over again. All right? So, this is exponential. This one, quadratic, at least not exponential. It's exponential, multiply, 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 multiply. It is multiplication, all right? So, exponential. I'm going to go to the next step of what my students will have to do other than just identifying. So, right, my students are going to get multiple choice where they have 4 tables of values. I'm going to ask them select the one that represents exponential. That represents an exponential function. And they're going to have to look through them and be like, okay, well, that's the one that multiplies by the same thing every time. All right. The next step to that would be now I want my students is to write the equation that this table represents. Now remember, so far all my students are doing is this. They also saw it in their last assignment written like that. Remember, when you have a number next to a parenthesis, it's multiplication, so this is still a times b to the x. A was the initial point, so this is initial. And B was the factor. All right, well, get rid of these guys because we don't care. Those are the things we don't want. We don't want linear, we don't want quadratic. We want to talk about exponentials. Get rid of that guy too. All right. So, I am hoping that all my students know where the initial point is. It's the y-intercept. I talked about that. That was in your last assignment. That was in their last assignment. The y-intercept is A. Well, on a table, where's the y-intercept? 0. 0. You look for this number right here, and that gives you the y-intercept. So 1. So I have y equals 1. Parenthesis, parenthesis, something to the x. Well, I found out what my factor is. It's 2. That's what I'm multiplying by. That's it. That's the answer. My a value is the y-intercept. It's the initial point, which is across from 0. So obviously, to my students, I'm going to give you a table where this, here, let's just do another example. Do another example, start from fresh. Maybe I'll go, let's go -1, 0, 1. Let's go. Sorry, I gotta think in my head real quick. I didn't draw this up. All right, so if I do that, and then I do that, I'm making myself think hard right now. I think I did my math right there. Well, we're gonna double check. So first thing, my students are gonna already know that it's an exponential. I'm gonna be like, I have given you this table represents an exponential, write the equation. So, come over here, y equals, I find this, so this is A. I don't know what else I was gonna write there, but that's A. All right, So we're going to start at 2. What are we going by? So some students might have a hard time with figuring out what that is, but hopefully everybody can figure out what you multiply by there, and that would be times 4. Hopefully we can figure out that's also times 4. And we can also figure out that that is times 4. So I'm just going to assume, and I'll probably double check, is I'm going to go on my calculator in case you can't see it, that I'll go 1/2 times 4, and you should get that. And you're like, okay, I double checked it, we are good to go, it's times 4. So what is my factor? 4. All right, hopefully that's sinking in to whoever's watching this video. I'm hoping this is helping. Let's do another one. Let's do a decay. So far I've been doing growth. Decay can be a little bit trickier. Sometimes students struggle when there's fractions involved. Let's go -2, yeah, let's do -2, -1, 0. Now, the easy thing about this, what makes it easy, is the question isn't asking you if it is exponential. You know that you're being given an exponential. This is exponential. I messed up somewhere. Exponential. Don't mind my dyslexia. Comes out once in a while to say hi. Exponential. You know it's exponential, so you don't need to test all of them like I did on the last problem. You just have to figure out one of them. Now, a lot of you in your head are thinking, okay, that's divided by 3. But what is the same as dividing by 3 when you're multiplying? Division is just putting something on the bottom of a number, right? 9 divided by 3. Instead, why don't we just multiply by 1/3? So, right, when you divide by 4, that's times 1/4. When you divide by 7, that's times 1/7. Division is the same as multiplying with a fraction, 1 over that number. I don't need to test all these. I know, okay, if that's times 1/3, that's times 1/3, that's times 1/3, that's times 1/3. Times 1/3 times 1. If I know it's exponential, I just have to find it once. All right, so I'm gonna come over here, get out my different color. I find 0, that means this is A. So y equals 1 parenthesis 1/3 x. All right, that's all my students are doing. I'm gonna cut it off there. Gotta understand that exponential is multiplying. Whether it's multiplying by a fraction, a decimal, a number bigger than 1, it should be multiplying by the same number every single time, not a different number. Then it's not exponential. All right, so check that. Hopefully that helps whoever's watching this video. Hopefully that helps my students. Thank you for watching.